and welcome to Gin with Gwynne. I'm Oliver Gwynne, and this is where I give you my off-the-cuff and unrehearsed thoughts on marketing, data, and philosophy. This week is SaaS dead? Yes. End of video. No, I don't believe that SaaS is dead, despite the stock market going down for a few SaaS tools, and of course, naturally, unimaginative people on LinkedIn are all posting that AI has killed SaaS. AI has killed marketing. AI has killed your nan in the bathtub with a rusty spoon. But no, I don't believe that AI is a killer of SaaS because fundamentally, the ability to make something does not necessarily mean you will be successful in the other aspects of business. So, yes, I have recently tried some vibe coding stuff and it was successful and it was good. And I got a nice prototype out of it and it was significantly faster than I could code myself. And I was like, wow, this is cool. And for my particular use case, it was an internal training thing. And I was like, yes, this will do. I don't need to worry about security. I don't need to worry about infrastructure. Don't need to worry about scalability. If it bugs and stuff, that's fine. But for most people, they do need to worry about those things. And I'm sure I've already talked about this, so I don't repeat myself. So is it possible to make things quicker with AI? Yes, it's possible to make a MVP or something very quick and light version of what you're trying to achieve, and probably from there you could test out the audience, you could see the bugs, you could perfect something in a very quick and agile way, and then you need to build things properly, is what most of us should be thinking about. But let's just talk about the ability to make stuff. So, in recent years, a lot of industries have been disrupted from that ability. Obviously, one of the biggest one has been the entertainment industry. So, it used to cost you millions of pounds or dollars to make a film. You put it out there. You had cinema, you had DVDs and videos, and that was your aftermarket. And then you had selling it to TVs, and that was the entire industry was based upon that. And then YouTube comes along, and cameras get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Technology makes it a lot more accessible, and a lot of the sort of low budget indie films disappeared because anybody could make those. You and I could make those if we had a script and we had actors. It was possible to make them, and so they became less profitable, and people wanted to see them less in general because why would I pay for something that I can make myself? Was the theory. And what did we end up with? We ended up with Marvel movies and superhero movies and all this kind of stuff that cost billions of dollars because I can't make that myself in theory. Or at least that's what Hollywood deemed it to be. And similarly, there was a fear about 3D printing of stuff that all of these traditional industries, sort of toys and board games, and low level sort of aesthetic companies. Well, I can just print it off, so I don't need to go and buy a vase anymore because I can print one. It will be cheaper for me to do so, and that technology is becoming cheaper and cheaper, and you're seeing more of that stuff online. I have a virtual background on at the moment, but I have like a 3D printed um, lamp, and it's shaped to look like a plant, basically. And so that's becoming cheaper and cheaper. Maybe in some areas we will see that it becomes better to use and print your own stuff versus that. In both of these cases, though, I think the missing element to AI and to making it yourself is the fundamental reason why SaaS isn't dead. And that's because while making things might have become easier, the other aspects of business has not. So, yeah, I would love to make a Spider-Man film, and possibly I could make something half decent today thanks to technology and CGI and all of that kind of stuff. I don't have the license to Spider-Man though. Spider-Man has existed for 70 years. People know who Spider-Man is. I could try and make my own superhero film, but it's a very difficult thing to get it out there, to get people excited about it, to get anybody to watch it, to get anybody to pay to watch it. It's an uphill battle. I don't have the distribution. And this is the point that I really want to make about, yeah, making things might be easier, but you know what's not easier? Enterprise sales cycles have not got easier. In fact, they've been disrupted massively through AI. It used to be that you could target the C suite, a smaller group of people. You would spend a lot longer to get your decision from these smaller group of people. Your technology would go through, a few rounds to get approved because you have to think about, hey, is this company going to be around? All of that kind of stuff. You've got to do your due diligence if you are Sony and you want to buy a piece of software. But you would target the C-suite, and then that was it. And at the moment, the trend is the opposite way around. It's the worker bees are finding these AI tools and they're recommending them through their organization, and they're being adopted at speed. It doesn't make security approvals easier. It doesn't make data integrations necessarily any easier, because that's not something AI can speed up. And it doesn't do the important things such as brand trust, compliance, procurement relationships, ecosystem lock in, marketplace positioning, and of course, distribution channels. I can't say distribution enough recently. That's the problem, and that's the reason why it is a stacked game. If you're an established company, you have more advantages, and if you're a new company, you just naturally have less of them unless you are a well-funded company, and money is a key differentiator now. I remember when I was first doing marketing online and content marketing was kind of new and interesting, I could get people to the top of Google relatively easy, and I could not do it today. It cost a lot more money and a lot more time and effort to sort of game that system. And it's more and more becoming a closed shop online of you have to pay to get your content seen. You have to pay to get in front of people, because distribution, there are only so many channels for the B2B sector. There's only really LinkedIn and a few other places, and they know that. And while that is the case, that there are not so many places where you can distribute, even in the world of film. Okay, there's more streaming channels than ever, right? Well, there's Netflix and there's Disney and there's only a dozen places that you can sell your film. A lot better than it used to be, but still your distribution channels are limited before you then have to put it onto YouTube and streaming it and get your money that way. And so, yes, it's possible that you can make a SaaS app that would replicate all of the things that existing tools have, but probably it won't be as good because they've spent years thinking about that, employing a team of people and trying to optimize that piece of software as much as possible within their own lifetime value and CAC and all of that kind of things that they're getting money to fund that. You might get somewhere towards that, but you're probably not going to get something as good or as well thought out as they have done in most cases, unless you're in a particular niche. I'm thinking of like, there's a lot of office software for one of our clients, Work Life. They have like this really niche product called Nexodus. I think there's Office R&D who are in our office as well. Hi guys. But there's a lot of like niche areas of SaaS that may be actually they're imperfect systems that were built for a particular use case by people who had that problem. And maybe they're the people who need to be more worried against the likes of HubSpot and Duolingo and all this kind of stuff. I think saying that Duolingo is in trouble or HubSpot is in trouble is absolute stupidity. I'm going to put on the screen somewhere the stocks. The reason that people have suddenly come out of the woodwork and saying, "Oh, SaaS is dead," is because the stock has gone down massively. But if you look at the overall trend, it was up massively for Duolingo quite recently, and then it's gone down. Probably it's going to level off, and HubSpot has seen that same peak and troughs already, and will no doubt go back up. Obviously, we don't offer financial advice on this channel, but maybe you should buy the dip. Also, buy all the lemons because, that's bound to get more expensive. I wanted to have a look at the relation to the stock on users. So I couldn't find that for Duolingo, unfortunately, but for HubSpot, 2023, 205,000 paying customers. To 2024, 247,939 paying customers. 2025, March, this is, so not a full year, 258,258 customers. And so the estimate for the 2026 year is 279,000 customers. That is a chart that is going up for HubSpot. And there were loads and loads of CRMs out there. We use HubSpot. It's okay. The paywall is a bit aggressive. It's a little bit annoying the way that they've set it up. It's too complicated and there's a lot of stuff. This is not a video of me slagging off HubSpot. But my point is, yeah, the stock has gone down. Okay, cool. And there will be a lot of small businesses that were never, ever going to pay for HubSpot anyway. They would never reach the first tier. They would never need all of the niche things that HubSpot could do. That they were never going to get money from them anyway. And now they can maybe use AI to do a CRM, which maybe has security problems and maybe there's a risk associated in doing that. But for a lot of smaller companies, it would make sense to try and make your own stuff. But for 99% of use cases that would actually pay for HubSpot, are you going to replace that with AI? Probably not. Are you going to replace that with an AI vibe coded things, maybe, but not if you're a bigger size customer, because the risk of a new entrant selling something that's vibe coded is not worth it. It's not worth it at all if you're going to get to a HubSpot competitor that's brand new and then all of your contacts are leaked, because that's what could happen, and obviously has happened in a few cases with a few vibe coded apps. And so, yes, in the short term today, the market is saying, well, anybody can make any software and isn't that bad? And so SaaS has gone down. But the overall usage of these platforms is going up. And wherever you have loyal users and not too much churn, and I don't see signs of churn in Duolingo or HubSpot or all these other big brands, then it's not a problem. SaaS is not going to be dead. What it hopefully should do is force them to work a little bit harder. We all know that there's a point in SaaS where you build a great product and then maintaining that product doesn't require so many engineers, it doesn't require so many people. You are selling more than you are enhancing that product at a certain point. And I have a video somewhere about sometimes you enhance your product too much and it's actually a bad thing. But now maybe because AI is iterating so fast and new entrants can make cool features and interesting UX, that maybe actually that's going to be good for the industry, and we're going to have more people hired and we're going to have more optimization of products, and product-led marketing will become a thing again because of the threat of AI. And so it might spur people into competition, is what I am hoping. So this is my video about how SaaS is not dead. The ability for anybody to make anything is scary, but what we don't have is the infrastructure, the sales cycle, the integrations, the brand trust. All of these things are like a brand in a movie. We don't own Transformers. People know what that is. It's a known quantity, and that takes time and decades to build up, and people have an emotional association with that brand. And so when they do Transformers 27, even though you do know that half of those films are terrible, you're still like, oh, maybe I'll go see that. I like Transformers as a kid. And that is where the other side of the coin actually becomes more important. So branding is going to become more important. Trust is going to become more important. After sales will become more important, and retention becomes more important, because in a world where anyone can make anything overnight, what you don't want to do is become a fly-by-night company, or to trust your hard-earned company's money for something that's going to break very fragilely, or where your details might get leaked. Those have been my thoughts this week. Tell me, are you afraid, if you're a SaaS company, about AI, how it might disrupt your job, or do you actually think that this is going to help you to release quicker, to optimize your products with less people, and to keep you on your toes? Thanks very much for watching, and tune in next week for another Gin with Gwynne.